Should we start the intro?
Yeah, if you want.
That's me, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Went shy all of a sudden there, mate.
Yeah, that's what I was to say. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2024.
Oi, oi.
Yeah, so it's week 1 in Jan. We're recording an episode. That is crazy.
It's the 4th of Jan.
Yeah, come on, ratings for that, man.
Hell yeah.
Hope everyone had a really, really lovely, relaxing, fruitful
Fruit for all.
break. Spend time with your families or whatever you were doing. I know Christmas can be tough for some people, so yeah, hopefully it was a lovely time, whatever you were doing. We all had a nice time, I think. We spoke about this already, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we don't talk about it again. No
Yeah.
one wants to hear about that. But yeah, 2024, kicking things off as we mean to go on. We did want to just like talk a little bit about this year.
Yeah.
Because we have been talking off mic, I should say. Foreshadowing about things that we want to do. And for the Spotify listeners, I think there was a questionnaire in the last episode. And actually, the last time I checked, I haven't checked it recently. The last time I checked on the last episode, though, the highest request was video. So yeah, some things are in place, some things are in motion, and we're trying to sort it out. You might have seen a story request go up for video editors a couple of days ago. We're looking into it, basically. We've got a potential location and equipment.
Yep. All of the hard bits done.
All of the expensive, not actually necessarily, all of the kind
the
of
hard
like,
bit. The hard bit is just getting it filmed
Yeah.
and sourcing the equipment and finding
Yeah.
the space. Now we just need somebody, one of you lot, to get in touch with us
help
and
us
then
out.
go, yeah, I can edit that video down quite easily and don't be like some guy on like in your bedroom like on CapCut.
What do you
Like-
mean? That's how we start producing, though. We can't go
I
bedroom
don't- no,
video.
right,
editors.
okay.
Bro,
That's
I
not
still
what I
make
mean.
tunes in my
That's not
room
what I
now.
mean. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, don't be like someone who's like, yeah, I can have a go at that and just give it a crack. Be like someone who's done this before. Like,
Yeah, we
edited
need
video
someone-
before,
Some
please.
sort of portfolio evidence
Yeah.
behind
Yeah,
it.
we're
please.
going to need to see evidence that you can actually edit videos, not just a dosser, as the great Tyson Fury would say. So yeah, that's the first thing. Obviously, this stuff isn't free, and we want to be able to do it properly. So we're thinking, and you'll obviously hear more about this, but we're thinking about starting a Patreon as well.
Yeah.
And obviously that doesn't come for free to the users or to the listeners. I said users, I'm in such work mode. Sorry, I work in software. Users, I shouldn't say users.
Nerd.
Yeah, so we're thinking about starting a Patreon simply to just help us cover the cost. I mean, it wouldn't cover the whole cost, but just simply take the edge off, so it allows us to actually produce this content for you.
And do more.
And obviously for the Patreons or the patrons, we'll try and do some exclusive stuff as well.
Yeah. Some little like extra bits and pieces.
Yeah, look out for that, basically. But yeah, like I said in the last episode, big things coming. So yeah, this year we wanna do it properly. More content,
we meant it.
better content, back on the guest hype as well. Bit more format, a bit more organised. After 3 years, we're finally figuring out how to be a proper podcast. So yeah. And we're saying it now, recorded. So again, when you see us in the rave in the smoking area, you can be that person that comes. If we don't do it, you can be that person that comes up and says, "What happened?"
This is like our like governmental pledge.
It's
Yeah.
accountability.
Again, we said it was going to be the key theme for this year. So yeah, bit of that, bit of admin there, bit of housekeeping. So now that's out the way. 2024. So this idea, I have to shout out Haley, Charlie, Tabby on this one. Because in our group chat, we made each other bingo cards for like each other's 2024
Nice.
to see what we thought people would do. Mine were Haley did mine, and it was partially like serious and partially. You're right there, mate.
All right.
Boring you, am I?
No, I'm trying to get
Guys-
to the responses to the question
Guys
on Instagram.
just playing tunes in the background.
It was Instagram. I was trying to get to the Amen Brother like questions.
Yeah, so there's an example of my bingo card. Haley, the one that sticks in memory, I can put it up, but the one that sticks in memory is that she basically said, I'm going to find the love of my life,
Yeah.
fumble the love of my life, and then get a dog to replace said love of life, all in 2024. So
This is all stuff that's been drafted in previous years, I feel like.
So as an example, but we want to do that, but for the whole of drum and bass in 2024. So we've got some predictions, and we could figure out what goes on the bingo card. I think standard bingo card has 9. I don't know. I've never been to Gala bingo, so I don't know. Is it 9?
I
9
don't
squares.
know, bro.
Honestly, when you were saying this, I had no clue. And I paid like bingo Christmas crackers the other day, but I couldn't tell how many numbers were on each
Good.
card.
Paying
Not a
attention as
clue.
always.
We're just making our own rules.
So yeah, we're gonna do a bingo, and then I guess end of the year we'll do like a midway point check-in, see how well it's going, and then we'll do an end of the year roundup to see how many predictions we got right. So who wants to go first with their predictions?
Maybe the person that's actually written them, John.
Yeah,
Go on,
that's
John.
fair. I'll go first. So, I mean, there's no secret that the trajectory of drum and bass in this new cycle has been even steeper than ever before, and I think that's going to culminate in. So I put Drake, but someone huge from the US.
Drake level.
The thing is, the reason I put Drake's because he's the guy that always jumps on a foreign vibe.
Yeah.
Like first.
Yeah,
And when
yeah,
I say foreign, I mean like not big in the US normally. So like, do you remember when Drake had his drill era and he did a tune with Heady One and all that? And then
Like another underground sort
Yeah.
of like culture, essentially.
and then at one
like-
point Drake thought he was Jamaican and he started doing all these tunes with
Yeah.
like Jamaican artists. I'm sure he's done the House album like last year.
yeah.
Basically, Drake's a culture vulture, right?
Yeah. He's coming for drum and bass.
Some say visionary, I say culture vulture. So Drake, if you're listening, I'm not sorry. So I think Drake linking up, and probably to be fair, I don't know. He normally does link up with an artist from that scene. So I don't know who it would be. Hopefully not. Well, no, I was going to say hopefully not Chasing Stairs. That sounds really bad.
Well, no, I mean, like hearing from some of the
But no,
flips and stuff that there
but you
are,
know
like
who
the
it
saddle flip and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, I'd love to hear him like team up with like Perez or
You know
something
who?
like that. That would be sick.
Now you know who. I actually, about a year ago, I said Drake and the Air Archives would be the one,
Oh yeah,
and I
yeah.
can see something like that. Drake
Yeah.
or another huge US artist. I know Fred again did the tune with Baby Keem a couple of weeks ago.
What are your thoughts on that tune? Go on.
So you know,
Don't
what's my thoughts on
don't
that tune?
sidestep that question.
I don't like it. I love Baby Keem as well, man. I think he's a sick rapper. And I don't actually love Fred again's music, but I think he's very talented.
Yeah, it's just,
But I don't love Fred again. Like I know everyone loves Fred again, but I don't love Fred again.
I've got a hot take on this. I think
go on.
like it's that tune is proof, that you can be very, very talented as a producer, but when you try and make drum and bass, it can still suck.
I've always said this. I think drum and
think
bass
it's really
genuinely.
hard.
I know it's
It can be.
biased, but I actually think it's one of the hardest genres to make sound legit.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest aspects of that is the drum.
100%.
It's so difficult.
Because what they do is they just draw for one drum loop from Splice, and then that's their drum sorted.
and that's not it.
And
It's
that's
not
not
enough.
it. Yeah.
It needs all the layering. It needs the syncopation. It needs all the shuffles. The
There's
tops,
30
the rhythm,
years
the groove.
plus of like drum and bass producers cutting up breaks in different ways
Yeah.
and making it sound interesting.
It was never going to be as simple as drag and drop in a bloody loop.
Yeah, and you're right. That's where it falls down. I think, you know what? One redeeming factor in that song, and it's such a minor thing, there's one synth sound that I liked in that track.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking
You know
about.
what I'm talking about?
I love
Yeah.
it, bro.
That's like a pretty legit synth sound. It's like,
Yeah.
that's quite cool. But obviously, Fred again knows what he's doing in a production sense. But yeah, drum and bass is hard to make sound legit if you're not from that world. So,
It's always the drums that let it down.
yeah,
It's always the
100%.
drums.
So that was prediction one. So big US artist jumps on drum and bass vibe. And you know what? Sorry, I'm going off track again. Who was it? Who did that tune 212? You know what I'm talking about? What's her name? Azealia Banks.
Azealia Banks, yeah.
So randomly, she sampled MJ Cole Desperado like 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
like it's been these things can find their way into the mainstream. So yeah. My next one, this is a safe one, but I put Glasso has some level of D&B headliner. And as in like on the main poster when they drop the line. They haven't dropped the line already, have they? No, they couldn't have. No. I'm starting to leap with that.
Well, like so pyramid stage.
Well,
acts.
like just on their first release of artists,
Yeah.
there's a drum and bass artist in there.
Okay. Just quickly going back onto that last one, you know how you specifically put Drake. I'm gonna throw Missy Elliott in there. Because you know what, if that happens, I just want to be like, I called that.
That's because you want it to happen.
Yeah, I want it to.
Rather
I'm
than-
throwing that one in there.
We just like hanging on to John's coattails with this one and just like basically making our own predictions about the predictions that John made.
No.
I just said big US artists, man. So that's open
Missy
to
Elliott would
interpretation.
also be included. Yeah.
And then my third one, Noisier resurface. I'm not sure in what shape or form. And I'm not going to count a splice pack because I know they're doing splice packs.
Yeah.
But Noisier somehow resurface
Yep.
in some format. I can see that happening. Dimension finally releases his techno alias.
Yeah. Or techno single. I think it's a techno single is coming.
I know he wants to do it. His whole aesthetic is techno.
Yeah.
It's coming. They were my four.
Yeah. The only one that I had was that we're going to get another UK drum and bass number one.
Safe.
Yeah, it's
Very
a safe.
safe.
It was a safe one, but
Very
yeah, I mean,
safe.
mate, it's all I could think of in the pissing rain from the coffee shop to here.
Who do you think's going to be responsible for that?
Oh, well, see, that's a
Couple of tips.
that's a pickle to us because the thing is, I don't think you can ever predict that stuff. I think that just comes organically.
I mean, usual suspects. I can't talk today. Suspects. Like
Chasing status,
Boo,
boom,
Subfocus,
yeah,
Dimension,
Wilkinson,
Wilco back in the fold, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be really,
But then
really
saying
interesting
that-
if it was somebody other than those guys.
Well, Kenya
but-
Grace got the other one, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Do you think it's going to involve a collaboration of some
It
point?
always
Though, isn't
does.
it, really?
Did you see the one? I saw a mad collaboration the other day, which was who did that ball-in tune? Vibe Chemistry
Yeah.
with JK.
Chaz and Dave.
No,
I know, Pete and Baz.
Pete and Baz.
Baz.
Pete and
Yeah,
Chaz and Dave. Man said Chaz and Dave.
Man went back in time.
Wow. JK, Pete and Baz, P Money, and then Azza and Grimer.
We've already
Yeah.
talked about this.
We did
haven't.
actually,
yeah,
Last
we did.
episode.
Yeah.
Michael, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
I do
man.
remember now, yeah.
I'm old.
Chaz and Dave.
Yeah.
It was worth it for the Chaz and Dave comment.
Fair. Okay, who else has got one? Rich, go on.
I just had Pola and Bryson join the Elite and D&B, Headaches, Boo, etc. that booked on every single huge lineup by the usual suspect promoters like D&B All Stars, Worried About Henry, etc.
I don't like this prediction. It's gotten
What do you
personal.
mean? That just means
It's personal
money. That
pressure.
just means money for you.
Yeah, innit?
That's
Come
personal
on.
pressure. Stop
And
it.
investment in the podcast, man. Let's back it. Come on.
You're now funding your own podcast.
You're now sole proprietor of the Amen Brother podcast.
Maybe that'd be my second one. Pola and Bryson fund Amen Brother podcast
Yeah.
because Patreon drastically fails.
That's what we want.
Yeah.
Not the failure. We want him to make loads of money.
I had another one that was like a new underground event starts in London, but it's not really like quantifiable. But I do think there's going to be a few events maybe popping up, like people fueling that, like the sort of underground drum and bass, which I'm hoping is going to be the case. And then my last one was Dimension's full-time tailor pursues a career selling haberdashery products on Amazon.
So left field. I love it.
Only other one I could think of was that. I mean, I think in terms of London, the largest like one-day event that there's been for drum and bass is like 20,000. That was that D&B All Stars thing.
Yeah.
War in the city.
Was it Worried About Henry?
Yeah.
I think we're going to see something double. I think we're going to see like not an arena. What's the stadium? We're going to see a stadium show. I think that's the next one. We're going to see a stadium,
Like Old Trafford or so.
like a football stadium. You could do fucking Wembley Stadium and do
Yeah.
like a one-day festival, drum and bass festival there. I think that could
With like
be
a
the
bunch
next.
of different acts as opposed
Yeah,
to just
yeah,
being
yeah.
like a
Like a
Wembley
one-day
show.
festival
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Tottenham,
one
it'd be
stage.
Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Could be Tottenham.
I don't want
yeah.
that on my doorstep, mate.
Olympic Park. It could be West Ham.
You want to hear that from your balcony,
Literally.
pissing you off all day.
I'll charge
Because what capacity is drum sheds? That's also like 20k, isn't it? Or
20,
12k
yeah,
or
I think it's
18 or
like
whatever.
How big
It's
was
like-
the Worried About Henry in the city then?
That was 20
That's
as
20,
well.
25, something like that.
Good
And
to
like
know.
football stadiums are like double that, aren't they?
Oh, I mean, Wembley's 90,000.
There you
But
go,
the
that's
thing is,
like
they put it on
3 or 4
the
times
floor,
the
though. They
size.
don't put it in the stat.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be different numbers, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure you could get more than 20k into some of these stadiums.
Oh,
I think that's probably
easily.
the next step up for a event. Again, I'm not saying I want that, but that's
You're
where I
thinking
just see it
drum
going.
bass in a football stadium. I say that's a pretty.
I just
that's a
see it's
pretty
where it's
solid-
going. Yeah, I think it's like stadium show. It's going to happen. A UK stadium show.
And Pola and Bryson will be on the lineup.
I hope. Bring it on.
100%.
Give me that stadium paycheck, bro.
All right, nice.
I feel like you said, it'd be good to actually get these down and have
we'll
a bit
post-
more thought process.
We'll post the
into it.
results, and also
We're going to think about some more.
send
as
us
well.
your suggestions as well. Maybe we create a collaborative. We'll pick the best ones, and we'll create a collaborative.
We'll make it the
card.
question
But
at
make
the end
them-
of this episode, the interactive question at the end of this episode on the Spotify.
Yeah. What's
you
your
can,
prediction?
you can drop yours at the end, and you can drop us messages on Instagram as well, and then we'll go through some and we'll throw them up on Instagram. We'll make a big sort of bingo card, and we can all play along together this
and
year.
make them quantifiable because I turned up with ones that weren't quantifiable and got told off. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the guys who hosts the podcast didn't get his own game.
Yeah. You can make them unquantifiable, but we're just gonna dead it off
Yeah.
like we did with Rich's.
yeah, at least I turned up with some, mate. Your freestyle was good.
Freestyle,
Your freestyle was good.
Your pre-prepared ones were worse than Jack's freestyle.
Yeah, and you're meant to be the MC who can do all the freestyle.
We say this every time. You can't freestyle, man.
I just don't pay much attention to what's going on in D&B, so quantifiable shit is irrelevant to me. I'm not really looking at mainstream and
it's not even that. Events. It's just a basic grasp of English, really, what quantifiable means. Like, man's acting like you need specialist D&B knowledge to understand what a good prediction
language.
Is. Yeah, it's mad. So we're going to make this a listener-based episode. We've got quite a good few questions and topics and things to go over. Quick story time for me, though. Have you guys watched Peep Show?
Yeah.
This happened to me literally today. So I work in this like fancy co-working space in Shoreditch, and like for the last I've been there for 6 months, and like pretty much the whole time I've been there, there's this guy who I've seen almost every time I'm in there. I think he works for the office. I think he's head of sales for them. Spoke to him a couple of times. Seems like a nice guy. Anyway, you know when you just see someone, you just feel like you don't know where, but you can place their face. You can't place their face, but you recognize it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I probably recognize this guy. I've always thought it. Anyway, today, so we've got barista Rosie who works in the office, also drum and bass fan. Shout out Rosie.
Yeah.
I was chatting to her today, and I was like talking to her about this guy. I'm like, why do I recognize this guy? And she's like, yeah, he used to be an actor. And as soon as she said that, the penny just dropped. And do you remember in Peep Show? How well do you know the Peep Show?
Pretty well.
Do you remember the episodes where there's a few episodes? He was in it for like a good half a season where Jez meets that mixed race girl with the boyfriend who's in a coma. And then he ends up being Jez's boss.
Yes.
That guy works at my office now, and I was like,
so weird.
It's so weird. Like,
That's so weird.
I can see Richard screwing up his face. You're trying to recall, aren't you?
Nah, yeah,
I think his name is Ben in the series, but yeah, he basically ends up being Jez's boss, and then basically Jez steals his girlfriend.
I remember. Yeah.
Honestly, just a really random thing. Anyway, I just want
I haven't
to
seen
share
it for a long time.
It's still on Netflix. You can watch it. Yeah, other shows are available too, and other streaming services. But yeah, fun little story. Cool. Let's jump into the questions. Now, I'm just going to call out Patrick because your question wasn't a question. And also, we spoke about it at length the last episode. Jack's Odyssey with the locked out Airbnb was your suggestion. Now, I don't know if you missed the last episode and you saw it on Jack's Instagram story and you thought this would be a fun thing to talk about. But no, we go back one episode, mate. It's all there.
He's paying less attention than me, Patrick. Come on, man.
Patrick is all there,
Fuck's
man.
sake.
It's all there, Patrick. So Matteo wants us to talk about Sun and Bass 20 years.
Yeah.
You know what's funny, actually? Sun and Bass is the same age as Shogun.
Oh, yeah.
It's Shogun 20 years this year as well. Yeah. I mean, what's there to say? I've been to Sun and Bass 4 times. I
would have thought you'd been more than that. I'm not going to
lie. I think it's 4. So me and Josh have been together. Josh Unglued, that is. And every time. He's the person I've been with every time, basically.
Yeah.
And I think we started going in 20... It was the one before... 2017. So we done 17, 18, 19. Then obviously COVID happened. And then we went last year.
Yeah.
I went this year as well. 5 times.
It is 5 because you got 2 more than me.
17 was your first time.
17 was my... It might have been 18. I might be miscounting that.
Because that was my first time and that's when we played.
Yeah.
But I was almost certain that you had been already.
No, I didn't go. I definitely didn't go in 16. It was 17. Was my
first
first
time you, yeah.
And we lived up this our Airbnb was up the steepest hill you've ever seen in your life, and it was like that was at the end of a 45-minute walk back from Amber.
I think I remember you.
Oh mate,
literally,
the first time
I had knee surgery that summer as well. There's a summer I had. Do you remember the summer that me and Hugh were at Liquidity Festival, both getting carted around because I just had knee surgery and he broke his ankle. It was off the back of that, so I was just recovering from his crazy knee surgery. Yeah, and I just did like 1 million miles of walking that
I swear it's a rite of passage to do that at Sun and Bass on your first time. Like when I
book it miles away. Yeah,
like when I went in 2010, it was like we were so far out of town. It was like literally like I think it was like a 10 or like 12k walk. I don't know who booked it, but yeah,
it's because some Airbnbs advertise themselves as being in San Theodore and they're actually not.
Yeah,
and people get caught out by that.
It was a lovely place, and you had the most beautiful view of the coastline. It was sick, and there was loads of us when we were young. You know, I didn't really care, so it was fine. But yeah,
the key, anyone who's going, the key is look for the road via Gramsci. You want to be close or on that road. That's some insider knowledge. Via Gramsci, anywhere near that, you're sweet, basically.
What a beautiful thing, though.
Yeah.
20 years.
Hopefully we're all playing. That'd be nice.
Fingers crossed.
Won't find out till late, but yeah, that'd be nice. I've only played once. It was great.
We could have had Helen on as a guest. She went to Sun and Bass. It was her first Sun and Bass last year. So
hit up Stefano for a live podcast.
To be fair, I'm pretty sure Fabio did a live podcast there last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, 20 years in the game. I think what they've created is pretty unique in terms of a festival. Obviously, the setting is crazy. Like, it's basically the drum and bass holiday, isn't it? It doesn't feel like a festival so much because you're obviously in a villa of some sort. The beach is like 20 minutes or 10 minutes worth depending on where you're staying. It's beautiful. The weather's always elite. Yeah, and I would say as well the crowd are pretty unique and as well. And so like not necessarily. I was going to say it's a little bit older. It's maybe getting a bit younger, but I think people that go to Sun and Bass kind of get it though.
Do you know what? All this chat of the underground and stuff. It's funny, isn't it, to like think about Sun and Bass in that sort of conversation and look at it as like a brand that's had ample opportunity to like maybe go elsewhere, expand, become like a huge entity in D&B and grow and like try and be, you know, something effectively it didn't start out to be. And how beautiful is it that people that like created it have just kept that ethos of, you know, it's kind of an exclusive thing that sells out in minutes because everyone wants to go, and it's got that intimacy that I think a lot of people in the game are longing for. Like,
also, no backstage is nice.
Yeah.
So like all the artists and everyone's just hanging out, and it's not like it's less of a separation or elitism or whatever. It's weird in some ways. It's quite an elite festival because it's only 2,000. I think it's like 2,000 people or whatever. So it's very exclusive.
Well, that's it. They can only sell as many tickets as the smallest venue that they'll use will hold. So it's hella exclusive in that regard.
Yeah, in that regard. But in terms of when you're actually there, it doesn't feel exclusive in terms of like, oh, like that's so and so, that's Fabio or whatever, like, and he's backstage.
Doesn't feel wanky and poncy.
Yeah, whereas like, you know, everyone will just be hanging out and like it's a nice vibe, man. And they've improved the infrastructure as well in terms of the clubs. Yeah, because the sound system was always going to let it down. I would say they're getting there now. The sound outside in the garden is way better.
Oh, it's so good now.
Yeah, really it's way better now, and they've moved the club inside around a little bit. Some people love it, some people don't. The thing I find mad about Sun and Bass is that when you're in the restaurants and they're just blazing drum and bass, like you're just sitting down for a lovely like lobster linguine, and then it's just like to be fair, they play like they've obviously found a good playlist because like, you know, LSB's on there and things like that. Yeah. I feel like I shout LSB out.
It's crazy though. It is weird. It's the one of the only places on planet Earth where you can just be sort of sat in like a quaint little restaurant, like on a Saturday evening, having like just like breakage, just like some mad breakage tune in the background.
It's so funny, and like the locals, like I know someone that went in the year that wasn't on. Yeah, they went to San Teodoro. So I think it was the year after COVID, but they didn't put the festival on.
Yeah. I
know a couple of people that went just to San Teodoro for that. I feel like it was in that week.
Did they still play the music?
They were still playing drum and bass.
Sick. Man, it's their seasonal. That's their thing,
so
bro.
Nuts to me, man.
I love it.
I feel like that happens a lot with like D&B festivals. Like Inno in the Sun, it was like that every year I went. There was just D&B playing everywhere, and I bet like a lot of the jump up festivals is exactly the same. I think the thing with Sun and Bass is it's such a like beautiful, idyllic location.
Yeah.
And even though it's like really like beautiful D&B being played, like in our opinions, it's like when you look at it with the surroundings, it does sort of
you clock it every year as well. Yeah, some people, because obviously San Teodoro generally is a very nice place to be.
It's a beautiful little town, isn't it?
And you clock it every year there. Some people don't research what's happening that week.
Yeah.
And
they just go as a holiday.
They go as a family. Like you see it on the beach, innit? And like they just go and we're just like, what is this?
But you also see them people getting involved.
Some of the locals get involved.
That like beach stage is quite like, it's like so sick because it's just like anyone can just rock up, and you notice like such a mix of people. You're like, you definitely didn't buy a ticket to Sun and Bass, but you're just shocking out because it's like, this is fucking sick. Like I've turned up to my holiday and there's like a beach stage like popping off with like loads of people having a really good time and good energy. Like
100%. The beach stage, the sound system on the beach stage is mental as well.
So we've done Amber Night 3 times, and I'd love to do
we need to pattern.
Yeah, I want the beach.
We need to pattern like a day where it's us lot playing on the beach. Man.
Just do it back to back.
I want to play garage set on the beach, man.
Stefano, hero cool.
Stefano.
We love you, Stefano.
One request I'd have with Sun and Bass is going back to having less drum and bass during the day. I remember the first year I went, there was literally like one D&B set or two D&B sets the whole week during the day. I remember like Lensman played a hip-hop set, Red Eyes played a hip-hop set. I think one year Fracture did a garage set, and like I think that's quite a nice vibe. Obviously, like at least for the first couple of hours, like do that, and then if you want to build towards drum and bass,
in the afternoon,
like, it's just very, very nice though, just to hear some alternative vibes from artists that you didn't know could do that sort of thing.
Getting a break.
Saying that two of the best episodes I've ever seen in my life were at Sun and Bass, so. definitely the Caliber Alchemy set he did with Dell, 3-hour set. Started off with like ambient, just like clicks and whistles and pads, and ended up at drum and bass. And he played like everything in between: house, techno, garage, 140. He played jazz at one point. He did this transition. I was super stoned, so I don't know if it was like it actually happened or it was in my head, but I'm pretty sure, yeah. He played,
John just imagining Caliber transitions.
At one point, yeah, he played a jazz tune, but it was like a jazz version of one of his tunes, and he did this transition into the drum and bass version. I lost my mind. Wow. And then it was one of the first times that people had heard the London Grammar bootleg.
Oh, right, yeah.
And literally he played it as, because it was when the stage was in front of the mountain, and you were facing the mountain.
And the sun was setting behind it.
Bro.
Oh, man.
Like, they set it up for iconic moments like every year, man.
Yeah.
Also the year that, and I had to leave an hour before this set happened, because I was flying to Amsterdam to play Liquidity, but everyone else stayed, and it was when Caliber played the first time played it was the collab with Sim.
Yeah, I
think the video that Harry took is the video of that song on Spotify. It is.
Wait, you what?
So the video that Harry took of that moment, is actually the Spotify video for the track.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
When we were all on the beach.
Yeah.
So for some context, like for anybody that won't know this, so Simone, our good friend Simone, has a tune. She's got a couple of tunes now that she's done with Caliber.
Yeah, 2 now.
She's an incredible singer. And the first time she had heard Caliber play it, or anybody play it, it was Caliber on the beach at Sun and Bass. I don't think she was aware that he was going to play it.
She didn't
It just came as a surprise.
Yeah.
And she was surrounded by so many of her friends and peers in music. And then whilst this video is being recorded, just sort of like from stood behind her, is it you, Rich?
I'm definitely in the mix in the video, just losing my shit.
Yeah, you were up on stage.
In an Arsenal shirt.
Were you like up on stage or something, and then you made a point, you saw Sim in the crowd, and you ran down.
I was behind
the
stage,
yeah,
and then I ran
all the way
down
through the crowd and everything
her,
to go and like give her a hug and everything. And it's just such a sweet moment caught on camera.
Yeah.
It's just so really
Are you telling me that's on Spotify, John?
No, not that bit. It's like obviously like with Spotify, it's like a little loop in it.
Yeah,
I'm like it used to be anyway. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the tune in a while on Spotify, but it was literally that was the video. Yeah. I think it was one that Harry got. Yeah. So I guess in summary, 20 years, well deserved.
Yep.
I think hopefully they keep growing and keep, in terms of when I say growing, they keep innovating, experimenting. There's always an angle with like diversity and stuff, and just really making sure they're bringing people in, because obviously like they represent lots of good things about the scene, but they've got an opportunity to like do more as well. So I'm hoping that carries on.
Yeah.
If you ever get the chance to go, definitely go. It's worth it. It's worth it. And especially if you're the funny. Actually, you know what? I just had a recall to when we had Mosey on. Do you remember what he said? Because he was.
Oh yeah,
because he went But like generally, if you want to kind of go and experience a different side of drum and bass to maybe what you're used to, if you're more into the clubby stuff, saying that they do have like pretty heavy artists on and stuff, but like it's just a very nice cross section of the scene and the music.
I think it's very fair to say that if you've only ever raved in the UK, this will be, whether it's just the lineup or whether it's the setting or whether it's the combination of the lineup and the setting, this will be something unlike you will have ever experienced. 100%. So if you can go. Like
I also think, in reference to that Mosey comment, it's less chin strokey than it was in 2010 when I went.
Yeah, definitely feels.
I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, basically it feels more like I said, I said it a couple of minutes ago. It's gotten younger, but actually I think that might be a positive thing. Hopefully. Yeah, like
it's a good mix, man. It's
a good mix.
It's bridging the gap. It's serving a purpose in that way.
Because actually, the thing we talk about always about music, drum and bass kind of filtering down in terms of people access it through the kind of more mainstream stuff and they discover the underground stuff. It is nice to see the younger crowds at Sun and Bass experiencing all the stuff that the people that have been in it for 25 years love as well.
Yeah,
and I think that's a nice thing. You get like the OG ravers and the young ravers together in this crazy setting. Like beautiful weather and just enjoying good music. So
plus, it's all got its place in it anyway.
Can I add a prediction as Aim and Brother Do live podcast at Sun and Bass 2024?
Yeah, I like that. Add that in.
Yeah, live podcast.
I'll email Stefano.
Let's do it.
Cool. Dan was asking best advice you can give when approaching workflow and making tunes. Now, this is an interesting one. Because first thing to say is there is no set approach to making tunes and workflow.
No.
But I guess maybe if we can all reflect a little bit on how we approach it, and maybe you'll get something out of it. I don't know, maybe it's all waffle, but there's only one way to find out. Rich, from a kind of a songwriting perspective, how do you think about that?
In all honesty, like it's kind of very sporadic the way that I work. It's like creativity. We've gone on about it before. How it doesn't. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. So I think you kind of need to pick your opportunities as to when you're creating, and when you're in that zone, just hit it as hard as possible. And when you're not, don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time, I guess, outside of writing, like reading and doing certain things that I know is going to benefit my creativity. And I'm not someone that really has writer's blocks. I'm someone that struggles to sit down and actually dedicate the time to it with full-time work, daughter, juggling all the bits and pieces that are, very stressful and difficult in modern day life. But yeah, it's honestly, man, it's that age-old thing of just not being able to do it full-time, I guess. Jack will probably have a very different response to you and me on this one, because we're trying to squeeze our creative passion into our spare time, and, aren't really able to do it as a full-time job as of yet. So it's tough. It's really tough. It's a really interesting question. I think, I don't know. There's no right or wrong answer, and there's no. It's whatever works for you. You got to kind of find your sort of way of structuring your life in order to fit, your passions and your responsibilities, I guess, and find a balance. Like work-life balance is the key. And I've gone through periods of nailing it and not nailing it throughout my career, and it's particularly difficult with a full-time job. But
yeah, fair. I've actually thought about this a lot recently, just because I've come off the back of, I think I mentioned it before, like maybe 2 months where I haven't really been feeling creative at all. And it's funny actually, because ironically Tom was in a real hot streak during that time. Yeah. And it almost feels like we've done a little 180. Like, we had a conversation about it, like a very, very just candid conversation about it yesterday. And it was like, I need to take some time off, because I've just like, basically it's whatever's going on in your own personal life directly affects how you feel about, how creative you feel and how you feel about music as a whole, whatever your creative endeavor is. And the last 2 months when I was off, I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, like illness, family illness, work, blah, 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 travel. And yeah, that's not conducive to creativity. Yeah. I'm now feeling like I'm entering a hot streak, and symbolically Christmas was kind of me coming out of the back of that tough period. And lo and behold, suddenly I had the motivation to write music, and I'm like, literally in the last week or two, I've been smashing it. It's like, I don't know, creative strategies are an interesting one. So firstly, it kind of comes when it comes, and it's directly related to mental health, physical health, energy levels, kind of spare time, like free time. Yep. Like it's a kind of an emotional and a spiritual thing, very, very much as it is a practical thing as well. So that's the first thing. So what Rich said about kind of capitalizing on the times where you are feeling good and you have got time, that's really important. Just
on the flip of that quickly, do you know what's funny? Like, because from a songwriting perspective, some of the best things I've wrote when I've been in a really, really dark place, that's and I've used it as my therapy to like kind of get through. So I guess it's important to remember that if you're in a space where you do feel like writing, but you're like, or you can get yourself down at a computer when you're not feeling great, or something's happened. Like, I had like a pretty like severe like thing happened this year where like my like godson like took his own life, and I ended up writing something really, really beautiful off the back of it. But I guess I needed that in order to process what was going on. And from a writing perspective, when you're writing the actual words, I guess maybe it differs. I know you sent me a tune for my hip hop project called Emotional One, when I know you were going through some shit, right? And it was like a sick tune. It's like, it's true. You can't really, it's just not linear, is it? If you can sit down at your computer or sit down at your pen and pad, and you're in a space where you're thinking, you know what, I feel like writing, I guess whatever comes comes out.
Okay, let me elaborate then. I guess you need to be in some sort of emotional state other than just tired.
Yes.
Basically, right? Yes. Like, because you're right, actually. When I went through my big breakup a few years ago, I was like devastated, but I ended up writing tunes, and all I could write was Garage, and I called it Sarage. Bruv, it was just like soulful burial. That's all I wrote for like a month. It was mad, but the music was really good.
Some critical acclaim there. Soulful burial.
But like, but the thing is, you actually raised a really good point. Actually, you can channel any sort of emotion. I guess what I'm saying is, like looking after yourself in terms of like physical health and stuff is really important. So like we were actually talking about it in that big D&B chat the other day. And something I'm finding that's really helping at the moment is reading and exercise, basically those two things. Just keeping on top of that stuff means that when I do try and sit down and write music, it seems to be a lot more fruitful. And things that so basically it's like anything that can take you out of the current state you're in and put you in another state. So it could be like exercise because that releases endorphins, reading because it kind of, I don't know, triggers some sort of like creativity in your brain about something else. Getting stoned can help as well, but I wouldn't recommend using that as a crutch, obviously, because that becomes a hard cycle to break out of. But like, just anything that can kind of alter your mind state, I think is really a useful thing to do. I guess
shrooms.
Yeah. I haven't tried that, but maybe. I don't know what I'd write. Man.
No, I mean like but like the actual trip, the journey. I find like it's a really nice reset. That then for the next 3 months afterwards, my brain sort of connect on a bit of a different wavelength. I'm not saying everyone should go and try shrooms. I'm not advocating that. Unless Mr. Magic wants to sponsor this podcast, then hit us up. But. Jack's face.
Wow.
I'm only fucking joking, fuck's sake. But like obviously like anything like that is relatively good. Like if you're expanding your mind, your knowledge, like you said, reading, like, I'm not gonna advocate it. I don't care. Like,
what's interesting, we both approached the kind of, I don't know what Jack's gonna say. I'll let you go first, but you go first and I'll say what I was gonna say.
I was gonna say I haven't really got the best advice to dish out, to be honest with you, because I think up until maybe 4 years ago, when I felt like I was still very capable of writing music entirely on my own, I went at it in the least healthy approach, where I would just lock myself away from people for days at a time, not see friends for weeks, months, and just like be that hermit, nerding out. And then I feel like after sort of the last 6 years where me and Harry have both just sort of been at it so frequently together.
That's what she said.
More and more so, I feel like I probably could still write music on my own, but we are just in the studio so frequently together that I'd rather...
combined,
it's just, that's kind of just how we function. There are still times where I do still sit there at my laptop and do some work on my own, but like, I don't often wake up in the morning and go, right, ready to sit down on my own and write a track. A lot of the time I'd be like, right, off to Harry's to go write music together.
Yeah.
That's kind of good though, because it's more purposeful.
Yeah.
And another like pro of being like full time is that it's like that's your day job, so you're just going to go meet
exactly.
I think,
but again, it's why it's advice I can't really dish out, because not everybody's in the same boat. Not everybody's a duo as well.
You can for people that are
like...
Interesting about the duo thing. There's a question about that coming up, which we'll talk about.
Oh yeah.
I would just say from a kind of honest, we spoke about kind of a lifestyle and mental perspective. From a technical perspective, workflow. Obviously, like what gets a tune started can vary. For me, it's listening to other genres of music quite often, hearing some sort of like progression, or it could be anything, a bass sound or like a drum break or whatever that kind of then triggers my brain to be like, okay, cool, we can do a tune in the style of this, or this can start something off.
Yeah.
Sometimes, rarely I would say, but sometimes it can be just like sitting down on hardware synths and just making cool sounds.
Jamming, almost.
Something that's quite good is if you're not feeling creative to make a whole track, just make sounds.
Yeah,
like, make
and
drums,
then
make
export
chords,
them and start building your own sample pack.
Yeah, because one thing that we do quite a lot, and I think able to make this really easy, is just like start a track, and then actually all that track becomes is a little sample pack for another track.
Yep.
And repurpose stuff. So basically don't throw anything away. Repurpose stuff is the key thing.
Recycle.
Yeah, recycle. Saves the planet. Saves your mental health. What else? Yeah, that's kind of it really. Like, yeah. That's kind of it. Like, just from a technical perspective, like there's no... It's like I said, there's no A to B. It's a big swirly mess.
Make sure you have a big dump before you get in the studio, because the last thing you want to do is
like
the last thing you want to be doing is like in the middle of doing something, you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. You're just gonna, and then you've just got that like creeping feeling in the back of your mind, like I need a poo.
Yeah.
So like, I'm coming with helpful knowledge here, man.
You turn your face up at my mushroom comment, and then talk about dumping like before you go in the studio.
Yeah,
I'm here for it.
I'm not sure about that one.
While we're on the subject of mental health, I feel like we should say, if anyone is struggling, like my inbox is definitely always open, because I think, you know, we're touching upon how, like, in certain moods and maybe not being in a good place, I feel like it's like important to say that, you know, like, I think if you are going through stuff like that, like, just try and reach out to someone, talk to someone. There is like help available, and like love is there. It may be difficult to see sometimes, but it's abundant on the planet. You just need to reach out, and I'm sure you'll be received with open arms and support.
Adorable. So Tom said, how to help new/small promoters. What can punters and artists do? I actually saw someone post about it. I think it was an event post about this, and they said basically stop buying tickets last minute.
Yeah.
Buy tickets as soon as you can, because that really helps in terms of, I guess, cash flow and just kind of certainty for the promoters, for the venue, for the artists that the show's going to go ahead. So I guess that's from the horse's mouth. Stop buying tickets on the very last day, because quite often I've seen it. Like, I'll ask my agent, like, if an event's selling well, and then it's normally the same line. It's like, they've done X percentage of tickets now, but in the last week we're expecting to do sell out or sell most of the tickets.
Since COVID, isn't it? That really?
And I get it. The thing is, I get it as well. Like, from a cost of living perspective, obviously, if your payday falls near the event, you want to wait till you get paid to buy a ticket or whatever it is, man. Like, I understand that, but I guess that's why early birds exist, right? So just getting on ticket sales or purchases quicker.
With regards to this, I feel like there's a responsibility that agents and artists have in order to help the underground thrive.
100%.
And I think agents are a big problem here, and also just extensive like fees that are just unnecessary for a particular cap venue. And until artists with enough clout are sort of taking maybe a pay cut in order to play something that's a bit more intimate and a little bit more underground, you know, realistically, it's going to be maybe quite difficult for events like that to thrive. I would say to promoters who are at that level to go seek out people who either don't have agents or who are like, you know, middle level producers, DJs, MCs, who, I'm telling you, I reckon a lot of people that I'm mates with in that sort of like underground sort of mid level range, often if you go to them like, look, this is all I can afford, I've got a P&L, this is a take it or leave it because this is how much budget I have in order to produce this, and you sort of express that and say, this is my ethos, this is what I'm trying to achieve. You know, there's a lot of sound people in drum and bass, man. By the time you get to the third person you've tried at that level, I reckon they'll just be like, yeah, man, no worries, we'll do it, because we're not all busy every single weekend like Pola and Bryson, you know. So
I don't like that. I was going to use this as an example.
Nah, but
I'm joking.
Real talk though, like, realism is such a big thing, right? If it's a 200 cap venue, you know there's only so much money that can go into that event.
I think there's also,
I
think that another big thing that goes into it is that there's a lot of larger artists that have got a brand image that they need to sort of maintain, and the idea of them for 3 weekends in a row playing back-to-back shows that, let's not forget that they birth a Instagram post or a TikTok, whatever. They can't play 3 weeks of shows where they're playing in front of like 8,000 cap venues and then go and play in front of two. To them, they're like, oh, well, that's a weekend of content that we've missed out on because we got and played that show.
It's weird, though,
like,
isn't it?
That ethos, don't have it. Don't have that ethos. Like, any artists that think you got to think like that, don't think like that. It's a really toxic way of thinking.
What's funny
but there are people out there that think like that.
What's funny is it goes kind of full circle, because I just seen Skrillex do a Rinse FM show.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a level where
I saw a clip of that.
You get so big that actually it's cool to play the small shows again. You know what I mean? I've seen Skrillex turn up at loads of like little events in London. He just turns up and just does a little set for free. Like, obviously he's a millionaire, so I get it. Bro, but like at the same time, it's like it is the small stuff is the cool. That's the cool stuff, man. Like,
Boo came to the Solvent show that we did down in London like 3 years ago. But not to play. Literally, also didn't hit anybody up asking for guest lists. Man just bought a ticket and rocked up. Like, came down to a little 200 cap venue and was just wandering around. Like, done.
Do you know?
That's the other thing as well. Sorry, guest list. If you can avoid asking for guest lists, buy a ticket, man.
It's
like,
a good
real talk. Like,
I think in London, this argument is particularly like important because it's difficult, isn't it? Because then you come into the question of, if I take that show in London, I can't play in London for like a month or 3 months, depending on what my agent tells me I have to do. And you end up being like really restricted as a result of that.
The scene needs to help each other, man. There needs to be a bit of leeway between promoters because I don't know how, I just remember when we first started playing like Fabric and stuff, like there was always this 6 weeks either side exclusivity for Fabric. And that was when the scene was doing better and they could do that and it was actually okay. I think now post-COVID, I can't see how that's sustainable, especially if any small nights want to start. Because like literally, if someone wants to book me for a 200 cap night, but I've got a show 3 weeks later in London, which is like 2,000 or whatever, they're going to say you can't play that show.
Yeah. So when was the last time you managed to play more than 3 shows in London a year?
To be fair, kind of backdoored it a little bit, playing like 3 events for mates or whatever. Like if you count them, then but like build paid, like it's rare.
10+ years ago.
Yeah, it's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare, man.
So like,
I couldn't get him on my album launch, could I? So
Well,
there you go. As a prime example.
Hold tight agents.
My point being is that you get a lot of artists nowadays, quite big ones, who will find themselves headlining some of those larger shows and those festival stages that are now trying to put on their own smaller club nights. Because when they're doing it themselves, they've got all the flexibility to do it between those like big 6-week windows of exclusivity. If you're trying, however, for example, if you're trying to put on your own event between those 6 week and you're trying to sandwich your 6 week exclusivity with someone else's and try and find that crossover, that's when you're going to struggle to do it. But I mean, you got people like going back to Mosey. Mosey's doing it. I mean, they're not small clubs now. He started with a couple of small clubs, and now it's Village Underground. But he started with a couple of small events, like small. And if you went to those early ones, but that's what I'm saying. He did a fucking roller disco. If you, I don't know how many people he probably fit in that. 200, maybe 150. If you were one of those 150 people, and you're a big Mosey fan, gassed for you.
But he went and played Laser Quest with some man the other day.
Like, and I mean, that's his crowd. That's that vibe, right? But like, let's remove the Laser Quest from the equation, right? And like, if for example, if your crowd is, I want to go and do a proper like vibey set in a small venue somewhere on a Tuesday night with GLXY, for example, and I want to see a garage, like exclusive garage set.
Everyone wants to see that.
No, but I'm saying like, there's no reason why you can't do it. Like, I think there is a limit on how involved promoters can be in that regard. Like, there's a lot more flexibility for artists to do it off their own back.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we also know that doing this, we've got to support promoters. But I think it's a combination of the two. I think it's working with the promoters to help them put on their nights, but also bigger artists putting on their own small events and setting that precedent that small events are a good thing and everyone wants it.
But also bigger artists bringing through smaller artists.
Yeah.
It can't just be a big artist putting their own show, and not.
And that's it. Yeah.
Ultimately, you need to
bring some good support.
Like the good thing about the underground is it births new artists, right? Yep. So we still need to have new artists coming through as well. We've kind of gone off topic a little bit, but it's still relevant.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say is, another question was from a hunters and artists perspective. From a promoter's perspective, you need to make sure that, and we spoke about it before when Lawrence did his night, like, make sure you know what your show night's about.
Yeah.
And make sure you've got an ethos and make sure you know you've got a vision, because, like, there's nights that come and go all the time and they don't make it for various reasons. But I think if you can create something from night one where people go, this night was sick because, and it's not just the DJ, it's like for various reasons, then you're onto something. So I think about that carefully. The brand, basically, think about that very carefully.
I'd be interested to see the differences with this like sort of discussion is in London and like Bristol and like other like places. Because Bristol, I'm sure this is less of an issue. Do you know what I mean?
We are heavily London biased in this conversation. For sure.
It tends to be more stushed, doesn't it? And it's like if you look at how Bristol operates, like, I feel there's loads of like crazy little like stuff going on that just like pops up randomly last minute, and people are just out and about in Bristol, aren't they? Like,
yeah, it's true. Student town, I guess, though, isn't it? Heavily.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the more. Well, that's why the free nights have been quite good, because it does get the students in London out. Because that's obviously going out in London if you've not got any money is impossible. So that's the other thing as well, right? Cool. Anything else on that subject?
No.
Okay. The next one's from Pola and Bryson.
What?
Yeah, I guess it was Harry.
It must have been Harry that asked this.
He just said, can you shout out Jake's commitment to post his daily commute to get bread?
What?
What? I don't know.
Sorry, what did it? Jake's.
Jakes.
Well,
As in MC
producer,
Jakes.
Jakes.
Producer
Does he?
Jakes.
Does he post
Apparently-
daily commute?
Apparently, he
Logs.
posts his daily commute to get bread every day.
I mean, I'd love to know more about this as well. What kind of
Firstly,
bread are we
why do you
talking?
have
Is
to
he
get-
just going to get a loaf of bread, or is he going to get like a freshly baked, like a sourdough?
Who's getting one loaf a day, by the way?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, he must be getting like a baguette. We must be talking a baguette.
His bread
A
intake
baguette
is...
a
I didn't
day.
even think about that.
His
yeah.
bread intake is crazy.
Well, it depends.
He's ripped though.
It depends who the bread's for. Depends how many people the bread is for.
He might just be feeding the pigeons every day. To be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You also, you can get them
That
little
better
like
be brown
half
bread
loaves.
then, otherwise.
You can get those little half loaves.
I'm
as
telling
well.
you, no one's eating half a loaf of bread every day, man.
Yeah, I mean, you just go and get a full loaf, wouldn't you? You just save yourself a trip.
16-year-old me was probably.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. Shout out Jakes.
always. For
Yeah.
more than just his breadscapades.
Yeah.
Breadscapades, here he is again, shelling them.
I reckon Harry's jet lagged. That's why he said that one.
Yeah, or he's like pissed at 3 a.m.
it's
in a
3
hotel
a.m.
room on his own again.
In Australia.
Trolling you on your podcast.
Yeah. All right.
God.
Kyle said, "Why more food isn't served at clubs?" Off the top of my head, easy answer for this one. When people take drugs, they
No,
don't-
that's
they
a
don't
terrible
wanna-
answer.
They don't want to eat.
No, that's
so-
nonsense.
Yeah.
So I was at, bruv, I was at Winterfest.
Jack wants food.
I was
Yeah.
I was at Winter Festival in Eindhoven the other day, and they have like a room about half the size of the main room, just dedicated for like chilling out. They had like N64s and GameCubes. They had food vendors. They had like R&B and hip hop playing
I
in the
don't want that.
background.
I don't want
It's
that.
like a chilled area where if you wanted half an hour, bear in mind it started at midday and went on till like 2 a.m. It was like a
Yeah.
whole day thing. It was kind of like a festival. It was an indoor festival, but it's literally the clues in the name, Winter Festival.
It's a festival though. Yeah, I'm talking about club. He's talking about club. nights,
Yeah,
though.
okay, yeah, I guess that's.
I don't want to go Fabric and see a burger stand. In
No,
Fabric,
not
okay?
inside Fabric. I ain't
You know
eating
what I
that burger.
Like obviously let the boss man outside with the hot dog stand do his
Yeah,
thing in it. But
yeah,
like I'm
yeah.
saying in the club.
Also, I mean, yeah, come on, we got Uber Eats as well, man. It's
Also,
Deliveroo.
like,
it's
it's not like a because in the
where do you live where you ain't got a 24-hour Mackey's, bruv? Who is
don't know.
this? Who is it? Who else is
Carl Fate.
Kyle,
You know Kyle.
shut up,
You
bro.
know
You got
Kyle.
Mackies everywhere. This is a dumb question, bro.
No, no one's even in a rave that long anymore, man. Like, do you know what I mean? Just eat before you go to the dance, and then if you're at Fabric, go to the banging Italian joint round the corner. If
And
you
there's-
don't know about
and there's
that
a
one,
Subway there
get
as
to
well.
know.
There's scran options in every city and every town in the country. What are you on about,
There
mate?
is so much scran available.
Yeah.
He probably means like day festivals, aren't the big events.
Nah,
and
he
stuff like
literally
that.
there's
said
plenty of
clubs.
food.
He literally said
Clubs.
clubs.
Yeah, nah, sorry, dead this one off. On to the next.
Wow,
Yeah,
Carl,
man.
I'm sorry about that. Like,
And it, people in fresh threads are getting like ketchup all over them. Like, it's
Bruv,
just not really a thing.
I'm
is it?
sorry, Carl. I tried to back you, but these lot weren't having it.
Put that one on us. I'll take it.
Ed's question. Well, we can see who wants to answer this one. Okay, no, it's two parts.
Whose question is this?
Ed Dawes. And
Okay.
it's Dawes spelled D-A-W. I think he might be a producer. How much do you all earn for an average record release and DJ set?
I'm not disclosing that.
So
My mum
literally,
always taught
for
me
several
that
reasons-
it's very rude to ask somebody about their financial
for
situation.
several reasons, it's not good to reveal that information. I guess for our agents will be screaming, firstly, if we told people how much we made. Obviously, it's not earth-shattering for me because I've still got another job, so you can figure that much out. But yeah, I mean, it's weird, isn't it? Because with releases, so we can talk about the kind of mechanics of it.
Yeah.
So obviously with a release, you might see someone do 10 million streams or 5 million streams or whatever on a track, but you have to think that money gets split between the label, the distributor,
No, the distributor first.
the distributor, the label, and the artist.
Yeah.
And if there's more than one artist
Any
with a
features.
feature on it, you can
Then
see
you've
how
got
much that money.
artwork advances. Then you've got
Yeah.
music video advances.
Yeah, so you can very quickly see how
Social media costs.
that money gets watered down every single step. So it's probably not as much as you think it is. And we all know that Spotify underpay artists, so there's that. Obviously, physical and selling direct, you can make more. And that's why things like Patreon are great as well, because it's just like direct to consumer with a little cut on top. So I guess, yeah, mechanically, things get split. I guess where you actually do make more money, which almost feels like free money in a weird way, is like PRS, PPL.
Yeah, that
That's
does feel like
off the back
little
of you doing the
free
release.
bonuses.
You know, if you get radio play, if you get festival, you can submit your own set list as well, and you get paid for playing tunes and that
Yep.
as well. So there's multiple ways to monetize the same track. So
Mm-hmm.
you can, if you're smart about it, you can obviously sync as well as the golden goose that everyone wants.
Yep.
Get a song into FIFA, into whatever film, and have. I saw Micah's had a tune in EastEnders the other day. Big
So
up Micah's on that.
Publishing is important there.
Yeah, so monetizing a track multiple ways is the key, basically, if you want to do well out of it.
Yeah. But I mean,
yeah.
to give some context there, though, like without putting any figures into it, I mean, I'm sure you guys would both agree with me. You essentially write and release music now to promote you as a DJ performer because that's where most of your money comes from.
In a financial sense, yeah.
Yeah.
In a financial
So,
sense,
like,
yeah.
Where obviously we were writing music because we want to write the music we want to write, but
Yeah,
like
but
essentially like that is just fuel to help
as a product,
incentivize.
if you want to
Yeah,
use
like
that word. I hate using that word.
yeah,
but
same. Yeah.
It's difficult from an MC perspective because you're getting paid pretty average fees in a live environment. But I guess the idea is to kind of build to being a solo artist in your own right. But it's tricky, man. It's really tough. Like not enough would be the simple answer to that one.
Everyone's going to say about every job, though, aren't they?
And also as well, like every year that you feel like you better get a better grasp of how much you're potentially earning, that's all skewed because every year you're putting out more music, so your catalogue as a whole is
that's
growing.
That's the thing as well. It's accumulative.
So it's really hard to put down to like how much you ever earn off of one tune, whether that's in a 1 year period, a 10-year period. I haven't got a clue.
Yeah, you could quantify it in a set time period from release, definitely. But over time, obviously, like Jack said, it's accumulative. Having a strong catalogue over like 20-year period will make you money ultimately. Yeah. But you just won't see it. Not always, unless you get a big advance from a major or something. You won't always see it up front. So yeah, that's as much as we're going to say about that. So W Will 99 said, would love to hear some chat about producing Liquid. Well, you've come to the right place. He also said, also big up for shouting out my neck of the woods, my fave club in the world. Great club. Love it. It's in Auckland.
No, I haven't. No, Harry has.
Yeah.
I think Harry was there the other day.
You said that, and I couldn't get hold of the flyer. Could I when we did it last episode? I'm actually playing Sweatshop Brew Kitchen.
Neck of the Woods is a wicked club. It's like, I don't know, 500 cap.
Is it a courtyard? It's got like a courtyardy sort of...
Outside it does, yeah.
So I haven't played there. I played the place opposite. There's like a theatre across the street from it.
Yeah.
That's where I played.
Yeah, wicked club. Chat about producing Liquid. I mean, that's a whole podcast in itself, right? Here's what I'll say about producing Liquid is that it is very hard to sound unique in Liquid, I think. There's certain artists who have set trends that I think a lot of people try and follow. And I think actually it is difficult to drum and bass in general is difficult to stand out in a certain subgenre and sound unique. Like it's very hard to do that, and I guess that's why the people at the top are the people at the top. I think it's hard. I think it's hard to do it. When I think about when basically the label we're signed to, Shogun, basically set a lot of those trends. That golden era of like Perez Spectra Soul, and then following on from that Technomatic. And obviously, like what Lawrence Halogenics did on his side, and then with Ivy Lab. Yep. You listen to Ivy Lab tunes from 2013 now, and they sound like they're kind of like they still sound super like mind blowing in 2023. Like doing that is really, really hard, and that is the goal for all of us. I would say Pola and Bryce have created their own style for sure. You. Yeah. I don't like it.
You've done that as well.
I don't like the style.
He's taking some hits today.
I'm joking.
Taking some beats today.
Mate, I played 2 of your tunes on Cool last night. I love your stuff.
Yeah, you did. I was Rich playing footsie with me this time.
It's
like a 3-way footsie.
Oh my god. So I guess what am I trying to say? Like, it's just Liquids. It's easy to channel emotion through a certain type of chord progression or whatever, but like it's really like the musicality is one thing, but for me, like tone and texture is where it gets interesting. And I think that's where me and Tom have tried to kind of create something. Like we've definitely got a feel to our songs rather than like it being overly complex musically, because some music is really musically complex but doesn't sound good. In any genre. So like, especially like, I used to be super into like guitarists when I was younger, and there's like so many sick guitarists like Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai and all these guys who can play like 8 million notes in like 20 seconds. Yeah. And it's like incredible,
but it doesn't sound.
Doesn't sound good.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing as well. Like complexity and like goodness is not. It's not a metric, but you know what I'm saying.
Vibe, complexity over vibe.
Yeah, exactly. Vibe over vibe over everything, basically.
Yeah.
Obviously mix downs, all of that stuff. But yeah, like listen, we can maybe there's a point at which we do a more focused production based podcast. Occasionally, I think this is obviously in the format to talk about it in depth, but yeah, if you are a liquid producer, which it sounds like you might be, yeah, man, just really focus on that vibe and the texture and how you deliver things, basically.
And I've got a suggestion in terms of if you're looking for any sort of like deeper insight into like liquid production specifically, I would strongly recommend Mike Kiss. Just following him on socials, he does a lot of like, he doesn't dig too deep into like the nerdy like processing side of things. He again focuses on like vibe creating. So
Actually,
demonstrating sort of like him chopping up samples and like how he like finds his chord progression and like how he sets his vibe to like outline for the rest of the tune. And it's quite inspiring, quite an insightful sort of look into the way someone else might do something. So
to be fair as well, actually, we've
strongly recommend.
We've got some long form content. So we did a free video which for DJ Mag or Computer Music, one of those publications where we basically did a breakdown of a whole track.
Yeah.
She sings for me with DRS. Which is like about as liquid as it gets. Literally strings, piano, think break, everything. And then for D&B Academy, we did a 6-hour course where we literally make a tune. So if you're particularly interested in how we do it, or at least what our thought process is in going into it, check those out. One's free, one's paid, obviously. And then obviously, I don't know if there's actually that many liquid Patreon guys actually.
Unglued's got one.
Yeah, Josh has got one.
Yeah.
Basically, the internet's your friend, man. Like, if you want to understand how artists think about making a track, there'll be some content somewhere about it. But yeah, good question. Keeping it rolling, low R D&B.
Oh, low R.
Yeah. Do you guys still go seeking out gigs yourselves these days, or do you rely on your agents? Easy one for me is 99% agent based.
Yeah, I would say it was for a while like 99% agent based, but it depends on where I'm going. So there's been a real conscious effort since getting my US visa and Harry getting his US visa to sort of start building some good long-term expanded network relations with some people over there because why not? Like,
it doesn't hurt to, I guess what I mean is like who fulfills it is the agent. But I guess your point is a good one, like networking and getting cozy with promoters is never a bad thing. Yeah,
and I mean, I think to be honest with you, it stemmed really because like pre-COVID, I didn't really do that because I didn't think, I was naive to how long it might last, and so I was like, there's no point building these good networks and relationships with people because this isn't going to last for very long, so there's not much of a chance for them to have me back. And then obviously years later I'm like, oh no, that's obviously that's not the case. But then also things like COVID and then things happening in my personal life, I'm just like, perspective have been put in place, and actually it's like, nah, I'm manifesting this, I'm doing this as long as I can, so I'm going to build those networks to make sure that I can.
Yeah, I think I'm always building and maintaining relationships in order to, I don't know, keep in contact with promoters and get gigs. I think it's a very different ball game as an MC because you're not really, you're sort of tend to be, the industry's leaning more towards like you being booked with a particular DJ, and it's got more and more like that with less variety on lineups, I suppose. So I think these relationships are super important, and like the majority of my gigs tend to come from the same promoters in London, and in every different city I'll have a promoter that will just like book me basically. And I think I quite like the personal touch. I've flirted with the idea of handling my own bookings numerous different times because it's not like really a full-time job currently, but I guess it ebbs and flows with the industry and how busy you are. I suppose like if I was really, really busy, I'd answer the same as how Jon answered, because things are sort of in a bit of a middle ground at the moment. I guess I'm reaching out because there's that level of anxiety where you don't want to sort of fall off and you want to keep things moving, and I want to be involved in this. I've been around for a long time, and I guess that's why I've kind of been in the peaks and the troughs of it throughout my career. And I'd say like building those relationships and maintaining them will mean that you will probably always manage to cling on in there.
Yeah. I think it's the combination of the two, innit? It's like you've got it's the busyness and the territory dictate like how many bookings you steer off to an agent and how many you sort of take on yourself and go, yeah, I'll handle that. If you're in a place where...
If you've got an agreement that can do that.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. If you've got that agreement, yeah. Because some agencies don't have that. Others do. But, yeah.
I think even those new contacts, like you said about...
Well,
America.
Your voice sounded bare with
Yeah,
it, bro.
what happened there?
Swallow.
It's that fucking finest Pinot water that I'm drinking just ragged my throat. But yeah, I think even with different territories and that, it's like whenever I meet someone, I'm like, if I'm like, oh, I haven't been there, or I think there'll be like a good contact. I think networking, you know, people say it's like a, you know, loser's game or you're begging it, whatever. But I think network's so important, man. I think in any industry,
there's a difference, though, isn't there, between begging and networking, man. You
exactly.
can be clever about it.
Yeah, for sure, man. And yeah, I wasn't implying, you know, any particular way with that. I just think some people have a preconception about what networking is, whereas I actually think it's a really valuable resource as a music artist in a, you know, sector that's not, you know, is difficult to thrive in.
Last one from Instagram, then very quick one. Escher DMB out in Melbourne asked, "What's our favorite? What's our favorite wave shape?" And sine waves aren't allowed. What a nerd!
Yeah, this is a real nerdy question.
I'm just gonna say square wave just for fun, you know. I know saw wave because it creates the Reese. There you go. Saw wave. Don't think about it too hard.
Triangle wave.
For what reason?
It's just...
That's a poem.
What's the triangle wave? I don't even know about that.
It's the shape of a triangle.
Yeah. Obviously, but like
it's like a sine wave, but it's like pointy.
It's not. Yeah, so like because a sawtooth is like it's
the crossing point.
It's 90 degree, and then it's like the.
It's all about the cross. It's all about the zero crossing. If you want to get technical.
God, I don't know or care.
Yeah, this is why.
Is this strictly just for shape?
This is why. This is why this question is a crap question.
I like the snake.
Give
wave.
us better questions.
Escher never ask us a question
ocean
ever
wave.
Again. Terrible.
We've outed a few people today.
This is just the.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, we're just cooking people for no reason.
Yeah.
All right.
Moved
let's move
on from
on.
Jack, and we're on.
Let's move on to some more questions. So the big D&B group I always talk about, this mythical group, they got some questions as well. And Jake Vizsla, who asks us questions every time, shout out Jake. He said, "I always find it interesting why people in duos choose to be in duos, like how much compromise is required." And obviously, two of us are in duos here, so it's quite an interesting one.
That is an interesting one.
Yeah.
Firstly, I'll say the compromise is everything. So the compromise is what creates the sound of the duo.
Yep.
So, you know, I want to do X, Tom wants to do Y, and the combination of X and Y, or the difference between X and Y is what the Galaxy sound is. And weirdly, I just realized I picked X and Y because 2 letters in Galaxy, but that wasn't intentional. But yeah, it was an equation. So basically compromise, creates the sound. Jack's looking at me like, shut up.
No, I agree with you. I'm like, no, that's absolutely the case.
But yeah, so I would say the compromise is actually the key component of the duo.
Yep. It's what crafts your sound.
Yeah. And the reason, so I mean, the way me and Tom formed, and I'm sure I've told this story about 1 billion times, but it's literally started off as mates who just ended up, so we used to DJ together in Leicester Uni. And he used to come around mine before we go to, because I used to live around the corner from the club, he used to come to mine. We just have a few drinks, and one day, like, we both kind of, he was producing more than I was, and I just started producing. One day we just decided to mess around on, I think it was FL Studio at the time. Shout out FL, that's come full circle as well. Weird. And yeah, we just started making tunes, and literally we just carried on making tunes. He'd come around mine before every like club night, and we just went from there. And then my friend Imogen, got a shout out Imogen, she created our first logo, also at Leicester Uni as well. And then I think we got a release the year I graduated, 2014 or 2015. So next year is 10 years of Galaxy. So yeah, literally there was no like strategic decision to be a duo.
Yeah.
It was literally like, you like drum and bass, I like drum and bass. We want to make tunes, let's make tunes. And it literally is as simple as that.
It was the same for us. Exactly the same for us.
I guess the question of why we stuck together, just because momentum, right? It just kept going.
Yeah.
And we're mates as well.
Yeah.
I think most importantly.
I mean, you both seem really like chilled, man. Like, obviously, I know you like really well, and like I've seen the journey from pretty early on. But I feel like out of a lot of duos you've seen, you can see the friction sometimes, or like how it builds up. But you and Tom, I don't know, man. I
think you know what it is. Yeah, me and Tom are not afraid to tell each other how we feel.
Yeah,
which is essential honesty and transparency. It's like a relationship, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
it literally is a relationship. Like, this is the longest relationship I've ever had. Like, if you want to put it that way. Like, I do. You know what? I do actually, because I actually do refer to Tom sometimes as my other half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
It is like, in a weird way, like a weird marriage. Like, you just got to be honest at all times. You can't harbor things. Like I said, me and Tom had a pretty like candid conversation about like how like I'd basically had some time off and now he's having time off, but like ultimately what it means is like we disagreed that it was fine, but like you know, that's the sort of thing that could, if one person was doing loads of work and the other person wasn't and you didn't say anything, that's the sort of thing that could easily over time build up into a frustration or whatever, a gripe or whatever. But if you just address things and be very honest, that's the other thing to think about as well. And obviously we've seen loads of duos break up in the last few years, and you know, at some point, you might grow apart and creative direction might grow apart. But the other thing that I think me and Tom always said to each other as well is like, make sure you do your other ventures on the solo tip, innit? Like, it hasn't all got to be Galaxy. Like, Tom makes wicked techno and like other genres, and I make like other genres and stuff. And we've always said like, if you want to do some solo stuff, that's fine. Like, go for it.
Yeah.
So
have
like,
the creative freedom.
Yeah, not restricting each other and just being honest. It's easy to say now because we're not making loads of money. I guess when there's loads of money involved, maybe it's a different conversation. Like, maybe then, you know, if we're talking like serious money, that adds another pressure, I guess.
It will be interesting to see in like 10 years' time and like have a little look at how things are going along.
Yeah,
because I guess
I mean, Tom will have like 4 kids by then. I'll probably still be single.
But time is the thing, though, isn't it? It's like over time, these things do become like, you know, even like with relationships, it gets harder over time, and it's like there's more stress and there's more pressure and there's all these things, they do mount up. So I guess it's just a way of like managing that moving forward.
For sure, who can predict the future? But
Con and Jack.
Go on, Jackie boy. Wow, that was went off a wave.
Were you creating a wave? What wave was that?
That's my snake wave, my ocean wave. I'd say the only other sort of like what was the pissing question, man?
Why people choose?
I see your face. I was like, man looks stressed. He's like, John's covered everything. Fucking Rich was buttoning this about duos, and I can't remember what the fuck's going on. Fuck's sake.
The question was like, he found it interesting as to why duos decided to be in duos and how much compromise is required.
There we go.
The only beyond what you mentioned, John, in terms of like creative compromise and stuff, and like just being honest with each other, not harboring resentment. If you're not happy about something, just say and just be honest and just try to avoid any hostility. Beyond that obvious sort of stuff, I'd say is like the only other thing is really the one thing that I think it's only really dawned on me recently is that like the financial compromise you have to make. There's 2 people that you have to sort of pay for, and that's not just like how much you take away from it at the end of the day, but it's also like if you're going to go somewhere, that's 2 flights you got to pay for, and 2 meals and do you know what I mean? So in that regard, there's that compromise, but they're having the extra person. It's like that safety blanket almost, right? That creative safety blanket, emotional safety blanket, that we're self-employed safety blanket. Like, what the hell do I do? Like, I'm going to put my eggs all in this basket. Let's do it together. Sort of that camaraderie, that like friendship, like we're in this together sort of thing, right?
Yeah, there's definite. Yeah, by the way, there's definite bonuses been a duo.
100%.
Well.
Yeah. There's like perks as well as like sort of compromises.
And the whole thing that I just said about like the big one, like if one person's in a creative block and the other person's not, then the train keeps on rolling. Do you know
and
what I
not
mean?
just a creative block, but if anybody's in a bad way, whether
yeah,
that's like
I was
when
in
you're
hospital
out on
for
the
10
road,
weeks. I was in hospital for 10 weeks,
whether you're like in hospital, whether like
yeah.
you need time out for personal reasons, whether you're just like feeling rough on the road,
Someone
whether
just to keep the show
whether you've got
running.
the writer's block, like you've got, and it's not even about keeping the show running. It's just you've got that other person who can like just they know the same sort of journey you're in, the same struggle, and they can just help motivate one another. Like I think there's a million perks as well as the compromises.
For sure. Also from a creative point of view as well, like a production point of view, like one thing that I always hear from my solo artist friends is that, you know, it's so hard to know when a tune's finished or like they haven't got that kind of instantaneous feedback loop that we have. And that's the other advantage as well. Like it's easier to say this is done because one person can just call him and say this is done.
Yeah.
And also like if I start an idea or Tom starts an idea, they know that I'm going to be feeding back on it like straight away. But like, this is crap. This is great.
And also, it's really easy for you to start an idea because there's less pressure on you to be
finish
the one to finish it. Isn't
yeah,
it?
literally.
Ha! Screw you lot.
Yeah, that's everything as well.
Cheat code.
Yeah, no, facts. Sorry, Rich, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, it's pretty much been covered, to be fair. It was just literally talking about how... do you know, actually, I was going to say, I guess certain people manage the finance side of it differently. I don't know whether... It was Vizza that asked the question, right?
Vizza, yeah.
Don't know if he was interested to hear about that, but like, I guess some listeners might be because I don't know whether you actually feel comfortable talking about it.
It's
but
easy
like
for me and Tom. We split everything down the middle.
Yeah, so you're the same, innit? And like, I think I've definitely heard of duos that don't do that. And like, some people will go to a gig, and if they go play that gig, they take the gig money. Yeah. Which is a bit mad. I think that happens like less often.
So my viewpoint, or mine and Tom's viewpoint, was that the reason we get booked is because of the combined effort of both of us, and that in the studio, out of the studio, because there's obviously work outside of making music, right? There's like the socials and the business side of it as well. So like, there's all of that goes into making Galaxy what it has been over the last 9 years or whatever, and the same for Pola and Bryson. So we just kind of see that as like the fruits of the labor should be shared. Don't get me wrong. There's been times where one of us is offered the other one the full fee for a show, or whatever. Like, for whatever reason, we just can't do it, and we just feel bad, or whatever it is, or it's like a real slog. Like, there's always that conversation that is available.
But essentially, the way that you guys always see it is it's two mates in this together.
Yeah,
that's exactly how me and Harry have done it. So there've been certain situations where you're like, yeah, my bad. Me not being available for that show, that was totally on me. Have that fee, bro. Yeah. And there's other times where you're just like, nah, it was just because of this other thing that was work related or health related. We split it all down the middle because you'd want to be the same done to you, vice versa. Yeah, so it's just like, that's the way we've always done it as well. It's just nice and easy and fair.
That was a good extra point to bring up, Rich. Well done.
Yeah. Thanks. I've got to contribute it because in 10 years' time we'll have a conversation when the money pressures this podcast guy and be like, whoa, who's putting their weight in this trio then? I'll be there like, whoa.
Bookmark this. Well, someone didn't come with the 2024 predictions. So.
In it. Like, literally, fucking hell, way too much ambiguity in their predictions, man. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, you know what's quantifiable or not quantifiable? The amount of money you're getting paid, Rich, from this.
I couldn't even remember the quantifiable word. Had to come with an alternative synonym.
All right, let's wrap up these last few then. So Creatures, Harvey said, do you think, this is quite a funny one actually, do you think having substantial financial backing helps boost or give you a leg up in someone's music career?
Yes.
I don't know if you had a... So here's, I was thinking, because obviously I saw this question ages ago when it came to the group, but I was thinking about this. So don't get me wrong, there's nepotism in every industry. So, and I know people want to talk about Fred again. Apparently he's like the son of a lord or something, and that's why he's so big, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. He's obviously talented as well, but money helps in every situation.
Yeah, it does.
But it helps in two ways, right? I was thinking about this because like when I look at like my perspective in terms of creativity, the fact that I have a full-time job that pays me well means I haven't got to worry about making a hit record all the time that pays me well. Therefore, there's less pressure. Therefore, I can kind of be a bit freer.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, having financial backing, even though it's from myself, like helps. At the same time, if you've got millionaire parents who buy you the best equipment and get you lessons and all this stuff, obviously that's going to help too. So
yeah. I think ultimately financial backing, like you said, it's going to benefit everybody and anybody. I think there's no denying that there's a reason why multi-billion-pound companies spend millions of pounds a year on social media advertising and campaigns. Like, that is ultimately how you sell tickets, products, services, whatever it is. That is the way to do it. And if you've got the money, to be able to pay someone else to think up the idea, commit 7 days a week to making the idea,
shooting the best content,
editing it all together for you, and scheduling it so that all you need to do is write the music and turn up to the show and play the show. Ultimately, you've got an advantage to other people.
Please sign up to our Patreon at patreon.com.
Facts. You know what? I was actually off topic. I was actually thinking we never shout out our socials, by the way. We should start doing that.
What are our socials?
At the Amen Brother Podcast on Instagram.
Is it Instagram and Spotify?
The only place you can find us. So, yeah, but soon look out for the Patreon. So, yeah there is that.
And the Telegram. Maybe.
Ooh, wow. Okay, dropping that in. We haven't discussed fully as a group.
I'm throwing it out into the ether.
Pete, overview, head honcho. Well, I mean, we've spoken about this actually indirectly quite a lot. So any of us on how to manage a full-time job and a music career, I think we spoke about this at length already, to be honest.
Yeah, I kind of went into that one.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say,
the
one thing I will add just to that is you can't do everything, and one thing has to be sacrificed at all times. Whether you have to sleep, seeing your friends, like your missus, having a social life or having a relationship, or trying to create.
Did Pete ask this?
Yeah,
Pete. Yeah, because
he's got a baby now as well.
Yeah, because isn't he like killer honcho, like octopus man, just like doing everything all the time to such a high standard? Like, bro, get some help.
Well, no, he's sober now, isn't it? That's a good thing to mention, right? At the end of the day, if you like if you end up giving up booze and like sacrificing your social life to a certain extent, I'm telling you now, it's definitely going to help. It's helped me a lot.
But also, there is only so many hours in the day, and there is such a thing as like, no matter how talented you are at juggling things, like there is a point where you will start to stretch yourself thin because you run the risk of burning out. Like, I mean, I recently had to sort of just admit where I was with Solvent and with Pola and Bryson, and in the last 9 months sort of bowed out from sort of my involvement with Solvent because my ability to juggle those two worlds
and how well you could do it,
and how well I could do it. Like, I knew I could do it to an adequate level, but I didn't want to do things adequately. I wanted to do things to the best of my ability.
And that's why the podcast is going to benefit. Fuck you, Solvent.
This is something that requires an hour. This requires me to turn up once a fortnight stoned.
I'm joking. We love you, Solvent.
I'm
joking.
But Solvent requires so much more like brain power and creative like input and like and it was ultimately I didn't want to continue like offering a half-assed service to the artists that I worked with. So for me, it was quite a simple thing for me to sort of
it's like a everything's intention, right? One 100%. Thing benefits, the other thing suffers. Man. So when I'm writing music, I know that my social life is going to be suffering, and when I want to have a social life and do whatever, date whatever, blah blah blah, I know that Galaxy's only going to suffer. So you probably put it like that, priorities is everything.
Balance.
It's that mental health, physical health thing again. It's honestly key to everything, man. Like honestly, like that is
My advice to like budding young producers would be smash it hard now before the responsibility of life hits you hard in the face.
Because that hits you hard. When it hits you.
And the thing is, there's no escaping it now, like really finding time is a myth, like to a certain extent. Obviously, there's always people, you can make excuses and stuff and whatnot, and you can always do what you said, like you sacrifice one thing to benefit another and juggle all these plates, and it is feasible to do that at like our age.
Some immovable objects as well, like a kid, a wife, etc.
Do you know what I mean? Mortgage, all these things, it like all adds up. Like if you're listening to this podcast and you're sitting in your bedroom at your parents' yard and you're
rent free,
like get on it, like hammer it, because you've got a massive advantage over everyone who you see above you, and if you put the work in, you'll smash them out of the park, to be honest.
I hate the fact you've said that because it's scary.
It is scary.
It's also true, though.
But a lot of you are just going to get stoned and lob it off, so it's fine.
That's what we want.
Well, I was going to say 4 years ago that was me, but then that is still me. I've just not been at my parents' house.
I'm just married now.
I'm married with my own gaff. I'm just getting stoned doing nothing there.
You passed your driving test, mate, as well.
Yes,
well done.
Did.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
We should mention that. And actually, that makes it way more feasible for you to get to your shows. So there you go. Drive, bit of advice.
That was a
for everyone.
work-related thing. I'm going to go pick up my car Monday morning, mate.
Nice, mate.
I'm excited.
Well done, bro.
Aidan Azzy FM. He said, if you could all improve one thing in particular in your own production, or I guess Rich for you, your writing or performances, what would it be, and why do you think that?
Ooh. Mine would be the ability to write a decent, catchy hook so I can actually make some money from this music business, because the way it's gone these days,
if you ain't into a rant, if you ain't
writing lyrical, catchy hooks, you're writing really beautiful poetry like a lot of people who are lesser known in the MC drum and bass game are,
still going.
then you're fucked. So yeah, I'd like to write cheesy, catchy hooks.
Wowzers.
I'm going to join the writing brigade here and jump on that and all. I'm going to say that I would like to be able to write and play more emotive chord progressions, and that's something actually that's something we can put on our bingo 2024 bingo card. Jack's gonna practice.
I don't like to make predictions about yourself.
I don't like that. That's not a personal one.
But that's not personal.
Yeah.
The same way
That's a personal one.
The same way I've got this love of my life thing going.
Yeah, all right, okay. That's a personal
in my
one
control.
That's my personal one.
Well, not really, but yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna improve my piano.
That was one of my
skills,
that was one of my New Year's resolutions.
I think it was last year
to learn a new skill.
Yeah,
and maybe it's piano. I guess for me, what was yours? You haven't said what your. Oh no, you did say
that was it. Yeah. I wanted because that's something I feel like I can genuinely better myself with over the next year.
I guess there's two. There's for me, there's a couple. So one would be like obviously mixed downs can always get better. But am I that bothered?
Unless they're ours.
Unless you're. Wow.
That's such a Jon GLXY thing to say.
I think you've taken a few too many beats today, so you came out like,
I had to just switch roles.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But actually, I'm not that bothered about the mixed down things. I think they're good enough. Like they're good enough. Like they're passable.
Yeah, you would say.
But honestly, actually, there's what you said about the musicality side of it. Even though I said the thing about musical complexity doesn't always mean good. I would like to do what we're doing, but just be able to add a little extra flair to it. Because like we use samples, and actually there's a question about samples coming up. We use samples a lot, and I'd love to be able to just crack out things I hear as good as samples myself.
Yep.
But then again, the people that made the samples have been playing instruments for 25 years at an expert level. So whether I can get there in a year, probably not. Definitely not. But the musicality thing. And yeah, I think that'll probably be it, to be honest, because I think everything else is in a good place, or it's already on a path that's improving. So I can just think those things are just going to get better naturally anyway.
A serious answer for me, because I was just taking the piss, really.
Were you though?
Yeah, no, I kind of was, because I've got a couple of catchy hooks on my album. Like I'm not adverse to it. I just like taking a dig at absolutely no one whenever I can. But I'd say actually, if you're any budding MCs, learn how to produce.
Yeah,
because being able to make your own tunes will like really stand you in good stead. And I actually did a production course at uni and then sort of fell off, and it's something I've toyed with the idea of getting back into, but time is a tricky one at the moment, so it hasn't really happened. But I'd say like if you are an MC coming up, like if you can be a producer as well, then you don't have to ask people for tunes, you can just make your own tunes.
That's a great point. I actually had a follow up about samples. Where do we stand on it? Age-old question, age-old discussion. Mine's always the same. I think it's what you do with the sample that matters. I think that's probably going to be the answer. Jack's running away.
I never really understand the sample hate thing. It's like
when people just, it's basically when people just take a loop, put it in, and call it done. Basically, which happens a lot.
Yeah, no,
which happens a lot.
I mean, I this is such a hard one for me because there are so many examples where someone has just dragged and dropped a combination of samples, even from the same sample pack.
That's different though.
But churned out a banger, and I've gone, I can't knock it though because nobody else did it, and they took that combination of things. Yeah. It turned out to be a banger. They added more to it. There was like an MC on the tune, and it's like the structure as well and the placement. There's more to it but essentially the drums were a drag and drop. The bass was a drag and drop.
That's not.
You're not A&R on my album here, are you?
No.
Nah, so I don't like that.
I'm not a fan of that ordinarily, but there are a few. There's been a couple of occasions where the tune has still been really good.
But it's not their good tuners. It's the person who made the samples.
No, I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying that person's like struck gold here, but like the tune is still good.
So you saying, John, you want to see more manipulation of the sample so it sounds different?
I just don't want to know that it's a straight up sample.
Yeah.
I want to know that someone's like done something, flipped it in a cool way.
I'd rather hear a sample flipped than dragged and dropped.
My favourite genre is sample based. Like hip hop is sample based, right? Or it was. And that's all about the creative use of samples.
Hip hop does that in such a cool way that it's very unique.
That's where I think samples should be superpower. But yeah.
Superpower samples.
How would you go about integrating influences from other genres into your music? It's subconscious for me, I think. I don't think I actively try and...
Unless you're copycatting.
Yeah.
Sample it.
It's sampling it, or it's subconscious, basically, for me, is the short answer.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The easiest way is to directly sample another genre into your music, yeah. for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like my whole writing style comes from like listening to ridiculous amounts of UK hip hop, really, and that's like all there is to it, I guess. It's definitely subconscious though. But if I listen to something else, I will notice myself. Like if I go and then away and write it, I'll be like, shit, that sounds a bit like them, or like it's very easy for my brain to do that. So I have to be quite careful. I think when I'm in the writing time, I try not to listen to anything lyrical.
Yeah.
Or if it is, it's from a different genre of music. So I'm not like plagiarizing DRS, which probably, you know, if I'm going to be honest with myself, has accidentally happened. Fucking hell, my voice, which has probably accidentally happened.
So whenever he mentions DRS, he gets emotional.
Oh, it was, yeah. he did a tune with me, man. Fucking hell, I'm still not over it. But yeah, like obviously, I think that happens in you know, across all music. I'm sure it's similar for producers. Like if you're listening to like a lot of a producer, you'll like naturally just like start, you know, making things that sound similar, just like because your subconscious is willing it forward. I think lyrically, you've got to be maybe a little bit more careful than that. I don't know whether you'd agree with that, but like if you're just listening to pure DRS and then you go and write a tune at the end of the day, you've probably nabbed his flow, lyrical content, and his vibe. Like
I feel it could be easier to fall into that trap, as a lyricist, My last question that I wanted to ask was, seeing as it's the start of the new year, I feel like this is definitely one of our reoccurring segments. What's everyone been listening to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, mate.
Shall we?
Okay, yeah.
Give everybody
CJ Fly.
CJ Fly?
Album called Piranha. Actually, I was going to send you, Rich, because it's an American guy who I think you'd actually like his rap style.
So funny how he's got this like, look, I just don't put the effort in, John. You send me loads of American people and just make sure it's not like
CJ
fucking
Fly,
shit trap rap, and it's fine.
Yeah, I think he's sick, basically. His album's called, it's Piranha. I was right.
Oh, God,
Sick.
I don't know.
I've been, and I sent you the link to his album last week, John. And when I said I listened to it like multiple times that day, I've listened to it like 30 times since I sent you that link. I've actually really, really, really love this album. It's an artist called Kojak, who's he's from Dublin. He's now a London-based rapper. And he's just put out an album.
Did I reply to that link?
Say it. I don't think so. He's put out a couple of albums, and this is just the one that I checked, and I've just been on it just over and over again. It's called Phantom of the Afters, and it's
Phantom of the
Afters. Yeah. But really, really, really good. Really, really like. So I can't remember exactly the pun, but fuck's sakes, that's really annoying. But someone basically, it's Tyler the Potato. Tyler the Potato. Nice. Someone had referred to him as Tyler the Potato. So it's sort of Irish Tyler vibe to him.
Rich doesn't get that at all, by the way.
Do you know what? I was just looking for my Spotify. I was barely even paying attention. And then when I laughed, I wasn't even laughing at what you were saying. I was laughing at the fact that you know, that tune featuring Pete and Baz is in my recently played, because I think after you mentioned it, I went to go and see like, what the F is this tune he's talking about? And here we are. Sorry, Jack.
Chaz and Dave.
Very rude.
Chaz and Dave.
Do you know what? I'm being heavily influenced by my missus at the moment and listening to like quite a lot of like hippie stuff, and then like lots more like soulful bits and pieces, but also some like weird stuff that I never thought I'd listen to. Like, do you know Little Dragon?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I've actually never listened to Little Dragon.
He did that tune twice, right? And LSB bootlegged it.
Did he?
Yeah, there you go.
So I've been listening to a bit of that. I also listened to Subtract, his album Subtract, the whole way through the other day.
As in the one that came out in like 2011
good.
Or whatever.
That's got Bear Sampha features on it.
Yeah.
Sick album.
Yeah, his studio's literally around the corner from me.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
And then what else?
Nice.
Yeah. Pip Millet?
Pip Millet, yeah.
That one always hurts me.
Why?
Because me and Tom almost had a tune with her about 4
years
ago. Tom found him when she had less than 1,000 followers on Instagram.
No way.
Yeah. Tom, I don't know where he found her, but he was like, we should do a tune with this girl.
It's sick because obviously I don't really listen to much music like that usually, but it's like interesting now that I'm listening to music with my missus, when you go into like the like suggested, loads of like cool stuff, and I'm
probably hearing half of Galaxy's influence as well, right? That's all the artists we listen to. Like, artists,
I, honestly, like it's a criticism of myself for sure that I don't really seek out as much like music as I probably should. So it's been quite good going down a bit of a Spotify rabbit hole recently.
Me and Harry like to do this game where we go on to, you find an artist that you like, and then you go down to the suggested artist, and you have to click on an artist you've not heard of, and you go on this 5 times. I think we said it. So it was like you go 5 times, and then you just go through and listen. You add those 5 most popular tunes on that random artist's playlist to your playlist, or to their page to your playlist.
Me and Tom have a joint playlist on Spotify.
Yeah, me and Harry have got a few of these.
Samples and stuff, and that's basically what it is.
Influences, there's things to bootleg, things to sample, things.
Of course,
for
you got a bootleg.
Oh yeah, there's always a bootleg playlist.
You little rats. It's just bare Beyonce tunes.
I rate the honesty, man. Why not?
Yeah, it's got to be done.
Nice. Yeah, I forgot about that segment. We should keep that one in.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. We've rambled for long enough, I think.
Yeah.
Like we said, hopefully we're going to make a lot of things happen this year. Yeah. Let us know what you think. Give us some feedback on the predictions for this year.
Yeah.
And look out for news about Patreon and all that good stuff.
Yeah. And make sure you answer the question at the end to get your suggestions for the bingo card in.
And follow our Instagram. Anything else we need from them?
Nah.
I think that's it. Not asking too much.
Give us a little share.
Money follows everything.
Yeah. Ideas. Come and edit the videos.
Come and edit the videos for free.
Just do it all. Just
host the podcast.
We're just going to chat shit and you man do it all. Yeah. Sick.
Get an honorary 4th member every single time. Like, this is a random fan who's
right to our Patreon. That's the top tier of the Patreon.
Yeah, you can pay to come and do all the work.
£5,000 a month beyond the podcast. Perfect.
Love it.
All right. Peace out. Bye.
Safe.